and welcome to our very first episode of our brand new podcast. We're both so freaking excited to be on this new thrilling adventure together. Let me introduce myself. My name is Blondie, and I'm a numbers girl. I do accounting part-time. I was part-time, and now I'm part-time after 2020.
Are you sure you're not more like quarter time?
Maybe an eighth time.
I'm an
eighth time. T, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Why, yes, I would, Blondie. So official.
Right.
I'm T. I work in a spa. I do a little of this and that.
That's what I was told.
I love my job, but very interested in true crime, very interested in weird and creepy stuff.
For years.
For years, since I was a kid. I'm kind of a creepy kid grown up. Because I'm still creepy. Yeah, so this has always been an interest for me, and I'm really excited about us getting to start this, get it going, and see where it goes. We're hoping that you guys will hop on board and be interested in the things that we find interesting. And we're hoping that, it's going to be all good for you.
If you don't, hopefully you'll find us interesting at the very least.
Right. All right.
So our friendship, we've been friends for decades. My husband likes to say it's been way too long.
Yes, I say that sometimes too.
And we know pretty much whatever there is to know about each other.
Yes, and let me tell you, I've been through some dark days knowing everything there is to know about Blondie.
I'm sorry, I'm in the same room with you. I can hear you. Yes, it's been sometimes a little bit tumultuous.
Yes, it has.
But it's one of those relationships where we have to remain friends. Because
yes, we do.
I always say I'm going to have a hit set out on her if I go first. Because she just take the secrets to the grave.
Because she know I got a big mouth.
And here we are.
And here we are. All right. So was there anything else you wanted to say?
I'm actually excited about this podcast that we're doing this particular one, because it holds a nice memory, yet scary memory.
A dark little spot on our hearts.
Right.
Spart.
Could be a spart too. You don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, and it's not one that you're going to find.
No, it's ours. It's our exclusive experience. And so we really thought it'd be a great one to start with. You won't hear it anywhere else, just from us. And it's legit. When we were talking about doing this podcast, I really racked my brain trying to figure out what we could do for our first episode and what it would be about. There's a lot out there, people.
A lot of scary out there.
Right? And rather than go straight into the infamous, to be expected go-to stories that have already been shared on other podcasts, we decided to give you guys this exclusive, super creepy story based on our very own experience.
One of many, but This is one of the more creepier ones.
But not to worry, we'll definitely be covering some of those older crazy cases as well. There's just too much meat left on some of those old bones, and we're definitely going to gnaw on those just a little bit more for you. You're welcome.
In a respectful manner.
In a respectful manner, always. Anyway, but I thought our story would be a perfect introduction to us and who we are under terrifying circumstances. And since we were both there, we can back each other up and reassure our wonderful listeners and our wonderful selves that we ain't crazy. Well, not at least in this situation. So I want to set the scene with a little history on the historic MarQueen Hotel in Seattle, Washington. It is listed as a historic property, but not necessarily a historical site, if anyone's interested. So let's get this going.
Let's dig in.
The MarQueen Hotel was built in 1918 as the Seattle Engineering School for Henry Ford. This school specifically housed blacksmith students who were trained to work at the Ford assembly plant to develop the Model T. This car was also known as the Tin Lizzie.
Tin Lizzie.
I know, I didn't know that. It was that was pretty cool to find that out. And it was going to be the first affordable vehicle geared towards the middle class. The building maintains Henry Ford origins with its iconic history still present throughout the property. And I know we saw some pretty cool stuff while we were there. Some
Oh, yeah.
kind of Ford memorabilia
Memorabilia.
all over the place. And
Yeah.
it was very cool. Then in 1926, Vance Lumber Company acquired the building and remodeled it into the MarQueen Apartments with 70 units, and it featured a lobby with Alaskan marble and terrazzo floor. And it is gorgeous. I'm thinking it's probably the same floors that were there when you and I went, because
Yeah,
it was
probably,
very
yeah.
pretty. It stayed apartments till 1990, and then a renovation began again on the MarQueen Apartments to convert them into a hotel. That must have taken about 8 years, because by 1998, MarQueen Hotel officially opened alongside the Tin Lizzy Lounge. This speakeasy lounge will make you feel like you just meandered into the roaring 20s.
I'm bummed we didn't go to see that. I wish I would have known.
The Tin Lizzy Lounge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I wish I would have known too. Looked pretty in the pictures. This Prohibition-era hotel offers apartment-style rooms with vintage vibes, and it really did feel that way. They did a good job. There was so much of the original hardware and accessories still throughout the hotel. I personally love that level of theme commitment. If you're going to do it, go all in. Respect.
It was beautiful.
It really was. They did a great job. The hotel's also in a very desirable location that's walking distance to the area's top attractions. I know that was important to us when we booked it. This building is 3 stories tall and has no elevator.
That was interesting.
Right? I'm having flashbacks of hauling everything up those stairs.
Right? The stairs are very ominous when you're standing there with
Yes,
luggage.
Yes, they are. The fact that they had no elevator was interesting because elevators had been around since the mid-1800s. But I'm guessing that they didn't want to spring for 1 or 2, being that 3 stories isn't unreasonably high.
Unless you have luggage.
Right. 1 story's high. So instead, they constructed 2 sets of beautiful stairs that each happen to have 13 steps. This is also very interesting, being that high-rise hotels never have acknowledged their 13th floor.
I always found that interesting because they don't acknowledge it, but they take it out, and it's still their 13th floor.
No, it isn't. It's their 14th floor.
I know, but realistically...
I won't stay on the 13th floor. I'm on the 14th floor.
Okay.
So yes, there's a superstition surrounding that lucky number, and I'm not a superstitious person, but hey, you know what? If they're doing it in the corporate world, there must be something to it.
That's right.
So they go from 12 to 14, whether it's floors, room numbers, department zones, whatever. There's also a historic garage below the building, originally known as the Quay Garage. It ranked as the largest single garage in the area, and for more than 50 years, the garage and its Doctors of Motors service cars at the school's facilities. So this place kind of had it going on back in the day. We'll post some pictures of the hotel then and now, and actually maybe even some personal pictures that we took if Blondie finds them.
I did find them.
Awesome. So let's get into our story and what happened to us. I'm going to share with you what happened to the 2 of us when we had the not-so-bright idea to adventure there for a couple of nights back in September of 2010. So not too long ago, and, 13 years isn't that long ago.
You know what? It doesn't seem like it. It is and it isn't.
Yeah, right? So we were traveling to the state of Washington for a 3-day retreat in the city of Grand Mound, which is only about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from Seattle. I had been to Seattle and thoroughly enjoyed it a few years prior and was very excited to go again with my bestie, which is always a guaranteed good time.
I had never been.
I know. So we needed to add that stop to the itinerary.
Of course we did.
I'm glad we did. Well, I was glad at the time. So you, being much more resourceful than I, aka a computer nerd, you found us this very cool 100-year-old so-called haunted hotel, the MarQueen. We laughed about the haunted claim because, I love edgy stuff like that, and I'm always down for an adventure.
And this is where I do these things for you.
Yes, I know.
Because you know how I feel about some haunted stuff.
Yes, I know how you feel. So I'm laughing. She's kind of going, oh, man, the things I do for you.
All those secrets you hold, I got to make sure I can make you happy.
And on a side note, for our listeners, I just want to explain. I'm going to let you all know, because this will come into play later in this story, that I have a personal haunted house history. My family and I lived in a haunted house many years ago when I was just a teenager in high school. But outside of that, I have not experienced any other type of haunted up to this point. So needless to say, when it comes to spooky stuff, with my past, I'm not an easy scare. Been there, done that. Or as my family would say, I've been desensitized to scary situations. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm sure there's some truth to that. But I believe desensitization, I can't believe I got that word out, was my necessary survival technique to get through living day to day with the supernatural. And if anyone is interested, I'll definitely share that story at some point on this podcast. Back to the story. We arrive at the MarQueen Hotel, and it's pretty much what we had envisioned, but a bit more dark, kitschy, and definitely creepy from the moment we enter. The decor was appropriate, for that old-timey look that I'm sure they were going for. That kind of had that not scary farm vibe, minus the delicious boysenberries.
Where's the pie?
If they'd had some pie, this could have been a completely different experience.
Right.
I'd still be there. I personally love antiques, old carved wood pieces, and pretty much anything vintage from years past. Because you know what? They just don't make stuff like they used to.
They so do not make stuff.
They really do not. And yeah, I'm an old soul, and I've come to terms with that. It's all good. Looking around the lobby, I immediately noticed this beautiful wood carved staircase, which to this day I still refer to as the Gone with the Wind stairs, because I'm a big fan, and that was exactly what they reminded me of.
You always heard that music when you walked in.
Right? I had this scene in my head, had there been some Rhett and Scarlet ghost action, I would have been thrilled. Here's my best Rhett. It's not that easy, Scarlet. This is one night you're not turning me out. Did you like that?
Okay, you know what? Stick with your regular voice.
Then he grabs her and carries her up the stairs to have his lustful way with her, while she just pretends to fight him off. But we know the truth.
Yeah.
Get it, girl.
Yeah. Oh, eek, ew. Okay, right there, right there.
You beast.
Right.
That's a different kind of scary.
For another podcast.
Another podcast. We're then given our room, which is, of course, at the top of the no elevator hotel on the 3rd floor. I mean, come on, guys. The hotel looked almost empty, and we couldn't believe that we had to lug all our crap up those gorgeous stairs.
I pretty much think that they looked at us and went, okay, you guys need
Y'all
to
need
be...
some steps. Y'all need some steps.
The 3rd floor.
But because we were raised right and polite, which always bites us in the butt, we didn't complain and headed up to our room with sweet smiles till we turned away, looked at each other, rolled our eyes at the inconsideration. Guess we should have seen that one coming.
Right. It's like, remember when you're growing up and you're always, yes, Mom, and you turn around and stick your tongue out.
Okay. So we finally got to our floor completely out of breath and started to walk down a long hallway that, I kid you not, had to be the backdrop for the movie The Shining. Mm-hmm. Let's just say I wouldn't have been at all surprised if there was a bucket of bloody axes in the corner. It would have been totally appropriate. I looked at you and started saying, red drum, because I personally think I'm hilarious.
Well, it's a party of one.
But I can tell you right now, people, Blondie doesn't agree with this. There's an inordinate amount of eye rolling in this relationship. She ignores me, but as usual, this obviously leads to just more obnoxiousness. And, you only have yourself to blame.
Yeah, all those decades ago, I should have went right instead of left.
That's right. Swipe right. It's a swipe thing that they do, right?
I think so,
so. Okay.
I can't remember which is left and right,
I don't know which is good and bad. So anyway.
Swipe one way.
So just swipe. But the hallway was totally unnerving. The way too quiet creep level was at an all-time high. And the decor just added to this. I'm talking gaudy flower, over-the-top pictures, dark wood furniture, and not the good kind of dark wood furniture. An abundance of gold trimmed decor and red velvet vomited everywhere for no particular reason. And the whole time we had that feel like you're being watched heebie-jeebies. Mm-hmm. I just really wanted to get to our room ASAP.
I just remember it was so dark in that hallway. I just thought, okay, any minute now,
something's going to come out.
Right.
And there was no noise. Do you remember?
yeah, no
there
noise.
was not a sound.
You know, being built in 1920s, 1918, they, again, going back to, you know, how they build things.
Yep.
Yeah, the walls are probably 2 feet thick.
Maybe. I don't know. But I felt like we were the only people up there.
I don't know if I ever saw anybody else up there.
Don't think I
don't
did.
remember seeing anybody else up there.
Me neither. I didn't make that familiarity connection with anybody of, are you as scared as I am?
Right.
So we were all the way at the end of the hall, of course, with all of our luggage, but we finally made it to our room. And right next to our door, I noticed an old-fashioned milk delivery cupboard that opened on both sides from the hallway to the inside of the room. Back in the day, this is the story I got, the milkman would just stroll down the hall and deliver milk jugs into these little hallway cupboards, and the tenants would be able to grab the milk from inside the apartment. It was pretty convenient.
They'd open the door on the outside, close it, you'd open the door on the inside.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I thought that was kind of cool, except for the fact that the cupboard looked wide enough for a small person to squeeze through if they skipped breakfast. I assume this had probably never happened since they kept them as is, but it did make me feel a little bit unsafe. I guess they didn't have access to true crime podcasts back in the day, and folks were pretty darn trusting. Just easy picking, lactose tolerant fools, every serial killer's dream. So upon entering, we were pleasantly surprised with our room. There was a full kitchen, a little living room, a small bathroom with a super cool vintage old tub, and the bedroom had a perfect view of the Seattle Space Needle, which was only walking distance away. So we were pretty pleased with these little unexpected amenities.
Can I interrupt here?
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember, you had to remember, between the bathroom door and the kitchen area, there was a closet door, which to my assumption, by the way, it was, because it was vented, it was where they had the water heater. And I remember opening this door and going, this is the creepiest, room. It wasn't even a room, but it was long. It was really bizarre, but it was dark. It seemed dirty, if I remember correctly, and it just creeped me out. Totally creeped me out. Okay, we'll just leave this closed for the rest of our little trip.
Like a little ghost dressing room in there.
Right. And it was vented, so they could breathe. But it was a little scary.
I'm trying to remember that closet, and I think I remember it being there, but it didn't stand out to me the way it stood out to you.
Well, I found it in the pictures I found. There's a picture of it.
Cool. All right. Now I can say I remember it. I'm lying. So anyway, our first day in town, we ventured out and familiarized ourselves with the surrounding area. There were little parks, cute shops, and of course, we ran across a lot of touristy things. If you guys are ever in Seattle, we found some amazing, I do have to plug this, local chocolate milk. And I'm not even a huge chocolate milk fan.
Oh my God,
but this stuff was next level creaminess, aka dreaminess. Twin Brook Creamery was the brand. I actually looked that up. And it came in various sizes, but we got the single serve glass jugs because they were so adorable.
They were so cute.
Just a little mini old vintage jug. And I even brought 2 little jugs home, and I still have them.
Oh, they were so cute. And
they were
trying
adorable.
To hurry up and drink that milk because we were leaving, and we didn't want to leave the milk behind.
There's a ghost in our room, but we got to drink this milk.
Right.
Right. So I could have drank that stuff all day. It was amazing. If you're ever in Seattle, make sure you get some of that. So anywho,
I don't know if they want to sponsor us.
Oh man, that could be a really bad thing. I don't remember all the specifics of everything we did that first day, but it was a very full day. You and I have the good bad habit of squeezing as much as is humanly possible into our travels. Whether it's days or weeks, we hustle from place to place until we are literally run ragged. Not knowing if we'll ever return to that particular area, we push ourselves and we try not to miss anything. And I know that's a lot of me pushing you. We always say we don't vacation, we adventure. And we still do that. That's just how we roll.
Well, it's that whole premise of, we may never get back here again. So Let's see it all.
Yeah, I'm going to kick myself if I missed something and didn't go back.
We have stories of that too.
Oh gosh, don't get me started. So when we returned to our room that evening, we were pretty darn tired. There were 2 beds in the room, and in between the beds was a little nightstand with a digital clock that displayed big red numbers. My bed was near the living room side, and your bed was near the window.
Right.
And then we passed out pretty hard from our busy day. So the following morning, we wake up, and you casually ask me why
Yes, what the heck?
I was howling like a dog during the night.
It was crazy.
And yeah, you literally said like a dog. Okay, and you're still alive today, so you're welcome.
Yes.
You were kind of making fun of me, and we laughed about it and playfully disputed whether or not I actually howled like an animal that night. And you weren't backing down. So I was thinking how bizarre that would be, because to my knowledge, I've never sleep howled before.
Nobody's ever told you.
Nobody's ever told me. But first time for everything, I guess. But anyway, the more we discussed it, the more I had a hard time believing it, because it was just so odd and not like me at all. So being the only reasonable person in the room, I said it was probably just something you heard outside the window, Cray Cray.
Mm-hmm.
But you kept insisting it came from my side of the room. So obviously that meant it had to be me. Okay.
Well, because we don't have ghosts, so yeah.
Right? You're all, this has to make sense in my head, so it was you.
That's right.
Of course, we talked about you just dreaming the whole situation, but you said, no way, because it was loud enough to wake you up. And then you said you looked at the clock and it was 4:15 a.m. So you were kind of annoyed that I woke you up so early. You remember that?
Of course I do.
But we agreed to disagree and just laughed it off, thinking the other was obviously slipping into darkness, but more you than me, of course.
Just wait.
I slept nice and sound.
Just wait.
I just wait. This is what I get.
That's right.
Following this discussion, we had planned another busy day visiting Pike's Market and the Space Needle, running around everywhere. So when we returned that evening, we were both again pretty exhausted. We went to sleep that night, and I'm a stomach sleeper, always have been, and unfortunately probably always will be. I say that because sleeping on my face gives me crazy puffy eyes, which outside of goldfish looks good on nobody. That night I must have been face sleeping pretty hard when all of a sudden I hear and I actually feel a puff of air. Okay, I got the little chicken skin right now just talking about this. I actually feel a puff of air right behind my head, like the breath of the man that was yelling at the top of his lungs. He screamed, and I won't scream, but he screamed, "Talk to me!" I can't even do it near as loud as he was. I'd break everybody's eardrums. It was horrifying. I immediately jumped up and spun around, which from that position was very disorienting, coming out of such a deep sleep. I faced the room to try to see who this maniac is who has broken into our room, and I'm assuming to murder us or something. My heart is racing, and I can barely catch my breath because I'm literally paralyzed with fear. Now, mind you, as I stated earlier, this type of fear is not something that happens often to me, or almost ever, for the most part. So at this moment, I realize that. And the thought that I was so freaked out terrified me even more.
You're your own worst enemy.
I am. It's freaking me out that I'm freaking out. And I can feel my heart beating like crazy, to the point that I felt like I might have a heart attack. And that is such an out of control, scary feeling. So my eyes begin to adjust to the darkness in the room. I can't see anything or anyone in the room. Then it finally occurs to me to look over at check on poor you.
Oh, yeah, like 12 minutes later.
My first priority.
Right.
Knowing that you must also be terrified during this paralyzing moment.
Knowing how scared I don't like to be.
Exactly.
I would have had the heart attack.
You would have had that heart attack. Those would have been a whole different story. I'd be solo on this podcast.
My poor friend.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a great story how she went out.
Yeah. I got pictures.
That's right. But when I look over at you, you're not only fast asleep, you're facing my direction, and you look peaceful and angelic with your little hands in a prayer position between your pillow and the side of your face. And I'm just like, whatever, creepy, peaceful dreamer who didn't hear a thing.
I was praying.
Right.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm praying.
This whole scene was so confusing. The palpable feeling of horror on my side of the room and the apparent tranquility on your side of the room made me feel like I was in an episode of The Twilight Zone. I started perspiring a little, which never happens, so I knew I was in trouble. Then I glanced at the clock, and it's exactly 4:15 a.m., the same exact time that you had experienced your little bit of crazy the night before. It was just like in the movie Amityville Horror, and it was my Amityville Horror moment, but off by an hour. I think theirs was 3:15. Probably something to do with the time zone. I don't know. That makes sense to me. I was having that moment. In the midst of all this, so many thoughts and emotions are crowding my mind, fighting for space all at the same time. Suddenly I have this big realization that what just happened was definitely not due to anything human. I'm still sitting up in bed, way too scared to get up. I just keep desperately looking around the room, but there's nothing that I can physically see. Then I feel a great heaviness in the room, almost like the air got thicker, and I knew it was there. And ridiculous as it sounds, I cover my head with the blankets. I close my eyes because I'm terrified of what I might actually see now. It's like if I see it, then it's real. So I definitely didn't want to see it, the obviously not human entity that was currently stalking me.
It's probably looking for its dog.
The one that was howling the night before.
Right.
That was me.
No wonder it puffed in your head.
There you go. I stayed under the blankets for quite a while, softly praying, God, please don't let me see it. No matter what it is, please don't let me see it. I don't know how long I continued praying, and I didn't dare look at the clock, because obviously that clock was involved in some sinister way. Bad demon-friendly clock. Next thing I know, it's morning. When you wake, I'm still shaking and extremely eager to tell you everything that happened. And I know you're aware that I'm not the kind of person who gets scared. So when I'm telling you what happened, I can see that my being so freaked out is really scaring you too. We also started discussing what happened to you the night before, and we're both getting kind of worked up over our inexplicable experiences. But we're also trying to be somewhat reasonable and at least consider that we may have both dreamt these wild experiences.
But this is where, do you remember I told you, maybe you don't remember, but that closet that I had referred to earlier, the door was closed when we went to sleep, and it was just a little ajar when we woke up.
I don't remember. I was probably so into just what had happened to me, and yeah.
I know I had my eye on that closet. There was something in that closet.
Well, and we, like I said, we were trying to think it might have been dreams, but, we're just not scary dream kind of gals.
Right.
So I was trying really hard not to have it be real, but then it still felt so real.
What is that saying? If you say it, it comes. If you see it, it's there. That whole...
Right. So you're just trying to not say it, but you have to say it. You're
Right.
stuck in the middle. So I think we really wanted to believe the dream theory more than anything, because the idea of any of it being real in any way, shape, or form for either of us was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of starting to talk each other and our own selves into the dream theory because nothing else made sense. So we begin to calm down just a smidge.
And you know how much I wanted to sit there and go, I told you so.
I know. And believe me, I was too scared to care about what you thought in that moment. I wasn't trying to impress you.
and any other moment.
And any other moment. So next thing we know, we hear, and I really want to emphasize this, the extremely heavy, complete with bulky, heavy crystal doorknobs, vintage solid wood bathroom door, slam harder than is humanly possible. The force of it shakes the whole room and scares the crap out of us.
Oh my gosh. You're paralyzed.
Yeah, because we were just talking ourselves into, okay, it's us. We're crazy.
Yeah, we're just dreaming crazy
We're
things.
just dreaming.
It's that chocolate milk. Chocolate.
Our nightmare chocolate milk. So it was like whatever slammed it was not about to let us think for even 1 minute that it wasn't real. It wanted full credit for all of the somewhat creative, terrifying shenanigans. That message was loud and clear. We looked at each other, and all I remember us both saying is, I want you to say it, it's time to go. 4 little words, that's all we needed. We grabbed all of our stuff and literally started shoving it into our bags. And even though we were both petrified to go into the bathroom, we had to grab our makeup because, priorities. Hello.
Well, we are girls, after
That's
all.
right. Then we still had to go by that apparently possessed bathroom door one more time in order to get the hell out of that horrible room. So after finishing packing, we strategized, and one of us ran to the main door, which was way too close to the scary bathroom, and held it open quickly while the other person grabbed most of the luggage and ran straight out of the room with the other person following behind.
Running.
I don't know why that made so much sense at the time, but it did. It was a team effort, but we were out of that nightmare that ended up not being a nightmare at all in a matter of minutes. We literally flew down those enchanting Gone with the Wind stairs like Olympic champions. When we made it to the hotel front desk, the clerk was busy, so we waited. Damn us and our politeness. When the clerk finally came to help us check out, we were both excitedly telling him we needed to check out early and gave him some teeth-chattering quick highlights of the terror that had just been bestowed upon us. The whole time we were rambling, he just kept doing his paperwork and never even looked at us, as if we were just casually conveying the weather for the day. Could have cared less. When we finally stopped yapping like a couple of trembling chihuahuas, he just calmly looked up and he said, well, we tell everyone it's haunted. And that was all we got out of him.
I remember that. It's like, but dude.
It was like he just slapped me across the face. Like, shut up, crazy. That was it. And it was just those words. He handed us our paperwork and walked away. Literally could not have cared less about anything we were saying. He didn't even try to pretend to care. For me, his complete lack of interest just confirmed that he has heard these stories before. So obviously we were not delusionally insane. Well, at least not in this story.
I remember that, and I could not pack fast enough.
Oh, no. We couldn't do anything fast enough.
Just get me out of here.
And the whole time I'm packing and grabbing stuff, I've got my eye on that bathroom door. What else is going to happen?
The bathroom door and that closet door. I think they lived in the closet. I think they were mad because they wanted to take a shower and we were still there and shut the door. But I just remember as we're trying to talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, maybe we're just, creeped out or something, but nope. No, sir.
No, I'm here and let me show you how much I'm here.
That's right. He was like, nope, this is all real. Now what you gonna do?
It was definitely an experience. I don't like haunted mazes, and I'll take a haunted maze over that any day.
Yeah, I take a lot of haunted things over that any day. Let's just say I would never spend another night in that hotel.
No, I wouldn't.
Never. And I'm a thrill seeker usually, but that was too real. It was too real. That was
very real. And didn't they say there was certain rooms that were possibly more haunted than others?
I don't know if we read that or if they said it, but I think we went in knowing that somehow.
And we thought we were going to be all cool.
Having this cool experience. Right. Kind of a story we could tell to our friends.
Nope.
Oh, no.
We still have a story to tell our friends.
Oh, yeah. But, it's still left, like I said, a dark spot on my heart.
Dark spart.
A dark spart on my heart. It rhymes. When I was going through this, researching about the hotel, I did find a lot of reviews. I actually read a ton of reviews trying to find other people, because I knew they would be there, that had these same type of haunted experiences. I found nothing. All I got was a lot of people talking about how creepy it was, how they felt like they were being watched. There was one person who stated that they said their son had seen a ghost.
Wow.
And they didn't give any inclination as to how old the son was. Is this a kid? Is it an adult? Nothing. It was very brief.
And it didn't say if it was in a room or if it was in the hallways or...
I don't recall it saying that, but I was really shocked that nobody else had a haunted story to tell. Like, how is this possible?
Maybe they saved the room for us.
There you go. That's why he yelled so loud. He's been saving it up for us all this time.
The dog was howling for the man. The man was saying, talk to me. I'm looking for my dog.
I thought you were my dog.
I heard you were howling the night before.
Yeah, it was super creepy. So, gosh, I wish I could say if anybody else wanted to have a haunted experience, you know where to go. But like I said, a lot of people didn't have the same experience we had. And, so I'm still surprised at that. There should be something out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is. You just haven't found it.
Yeah, I looked, though. I looked pretty hard.
That is, the whole thing is just so bizarre.
Maybe if any of our listeners have heard anything about this particular hotel, I would love to hear about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I was not able to find anything.
Absolutely.
That would be great. That would be super interesting.
Yeah, just shoot us an email at grimwitwithdimwits@gmail.com or one of our social media.
We would love to hear this hotel, any hotel really. I mean, hotel stories are pretty interesting. We stayed at another hotel up north, years ago. We actually stayed there twice, and it's really well known for being haunted. Not you, my husband and I. But we stayed there twice. I'm trying to remember what city it's in. It has the word green in it. That's all I remember. But nothing happened. We stayed there a couple of times. I actually kind of wanted something to happen because that creepy side of me came out. And nothing happened. And I actually left there feeling very disappointed.
Rude.
Rude ghosts.
Right?
So they have ghosts there, but they're just rude. Not at MarQueen.
No, MarQueen.
They'll serve it up whether you want it or not.
Along with the chocolate milk and the apples. Chocolate milk and the apples.
Honey Crisp apples from Seattle.
Are the size of grapefruits.
And they're to die for.
To die.
Yeah. If we lived up there, we could do Honey Crisp apples and
chocolate milk.
Twin Brook chocolate milk for the rest of our lives.
Lord knows what we'd look like. But I don't know. Maybe they did put something in that chocolate milk. We did drink a lot of that.
That was wonderful, though. It really was. All right.
So that was our exclusive experience of the MarQueen Hotel, one of our very own. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, we really hope you enjoyed it.
And we will be back for more.
Yes.
And we hope you'll be there to listen.
We just want to thank you all for sharing your time with us. And if you'd like to send in your creepy little grim bits, we would love to hear your personal stories, interests, and suggestions. Please email them to grimwitwithdimwits@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at grimwitwithdimwits and Facebook Grimwit with Dimwits to listen for our new episodes, and feel free to share with your grim-loving friends. We would really appreciate if you would take a minute to rate and review. 5-star ratings go a long way and would really help us out. Until then, we would love it if you'd come back next week to delve with us into the strange and unusual things we just can't wrap our skulls around.